exclusive production of Raycom Sports.
Notre Dame is in the top 10 and fresh off an upset of number 4 Duke. Jaron Grant has entered his name into the discussion for ACC Player of the Year as the senior guard leads the Irish into Pittsburgh to take on the Panthers. ACC basketball coming up right now. The Petersen Events Center is the site of our game this afternoon. Some snow on the ground did not deter these fans. 3 o'clock yesterday, they started lining up. The students, they call them the Oakland Zoo here in the Oakland neighborhood of Pittsburgh. It even has a unicorn. We've got it all for you here inside the BEC. And the matchup today on the ACC Network, number 8 Notre Dame going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers. And it is great to have you with us for our game this afternoon. Tom Wormy along with Dan Bonner. And Dan, this Notre Dame team, simply one of the hottest in the country. It's won 5 in a row. Pittsburgh, though, has lost 3 in a row.
Tom, it's very interesting. Notre Dame hitting on all cylinders, seemingly Pitt scuffling a little bit. But we've seen this year in the ACC, that doesn't make any difference. Notre Dame's playing on the road. This is a tough place to play.
Yeah, the Irish have a Player of the Year candidate nationally in Jaron Grant, the senior who has returned to be the linchpin for this offense, and he's done it at both ends of the floor.
Well, he sure has, and he has established himself as one of the top players, not only in the ACC in the country. And what a game he had against Duke, making a shot from almost half court helped. Then he throws this one in, and then this is probably the key play of the game. The pass to Bastore, 23 points, 12 assists, 6 rebounds. What a great line.
Jaron Grant also leads the conference in assists with 6.5 per game. Here is the Food Lion starting lineup for the Irish. We told you about Grant. His senior running mate is Pat Connaughton, making his 105th straight start. 45% from beyond the arc, and Connaughton is second best in the ACC percentage-wise from three-point range. For the Pittsburgh Panthers, the guy who will run the show is James Robinson. He is a steadying force, 90th career start for Robinson.
Robinson, one of the top point guards in the conference. He's going to have his hands full today. He's going to start on Jaron Grant.
Here is the Food Lion starting lineup for the Panthers, and joining Robinson, it is the senior Cameron Wright. He's the leader and consistent scorer. And then Michael Young is the force inside, the sophomore, over 13 points per game, almost 8 rebounds per game, both of those best on the team. It should be an outstanding game from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's the Irish and the Panthers for the second time as members of the ACC.
Try Ruby Tuesdays.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Toyota, official corporate champion of the ACC. By Food Line, official supermarket of the ACC. By Geico, official corporate champion of the ACC. And by New York Life Insurance Company, official corporate champion of the ACC.
Back in Pittsburgh and the Zoo, Dan Bonner is ready for this one. Number 8 Notre Dame coming to town for the first time as an ACC team. In fact, Notre Dame won its last visit to Pittsburgh just a couple of years ago. The Irish are back, coming off of that upset win against the Duke Blue Devils, who also have a big game coming up later on today. It's a big Saturday in the ACC, and the opening tip is controlled by the Pittsburgh Panthers in the white. Notre Dame is in the blue.
And Notre Dame starts in the man-to-man.
Number 13 is Josh Newkirk. First career start for Newkirk in that Pittsburgh lineup. Panthers are 13-8 on the season, 3-5 in conference play. Coming off of that overtime loss at Virginia Tech, and it's Robinson who gets all the way to the rim.
Nice job by Robinson attacking the basket, and I think Pitt really needs to be in attack mode all day today. Now they want to play really well defensively, and there's the steal, so they're playing well defensively, but they have to score to keep pace with Notre Dame. I don't think this is going to be a 51-50 game.
Cameron Wright drew a double team. Zach August took it away. Grant to August, who slipped behind the defense.
Now you can't do that against Notre Dame. They shoot the ball so well anyway, and that was just too easy. Pitt just not getting back.
The Irish 52% from the floor as a team that is second best in the entire country. This is Young along the baseline with a kick out. Newkirk trying to hang on to that pivot foot. Young against August. Grant helped. Robinson out of the corner, and it's a three-pointer for the Panthers.
Robinson's the guy we talked about before the game, and I think if Pitt is going to have success today, he's got to have a big game. Here's Newkirk, this time matched up against Grant. Now he and Robinson switch back. Newkirk on Vastoria.
Vastoria trying to go backdoor. Saved it to August. Against Young. Cameron Wright over Connaughton.
When Wright can get in the lane and get that kind of shot, going to the basket 15 feet and in, he probably shoots 80%. Really good start for the Pitt Panthers.
Cameron Wright, the senior from Cleveland, Ohio, who averages just over 9 points per game. His first field goal. Jackson dribbled into trouble. August bails him out.
Notre Dame obviously is a team that doesn't panic. They've been behind by 10 points or more in 4 of their last 5 games, and they've won them all.
Trailed by 10 points midway through that game against Duke. Came back to win it 77-73 and shot 52% in that one on Wednesday. This is Young over the front edge of the rim. Grant races to the other end.
Jamie Dixon over there shaking his head. Grant does that as well as anybody. He takes the ball from a pass. After it goes through the basket, he takes the ball on the quick pass and gets it right back up the court.
Panthers have hit all of their shots from the floor so far, Dan. 4 for 4, and they have possession of the basketball.
Right now they're 5 for 5, but the reason, Tom, they're 5 for 5 is they're getting great looks at the basket. Notre Dame more noted for their offense than their defense, but they're not a bad defensive team, but boy, they sure haven't done anything to slow the Panthers down here in the first 4 minutes of this one.
4 different players have scored for the Panthers. That was Artis on the previous basket. This is Connaughton. Shot clock is at 10. August with a pump. Got the roll.
Good passing by Notre Dame. Mike Bray over there trying to apply the double team, and so Pitt gets out of it, gets it to the other side of the court.
Panthers trying to snap that 3-game losing streak, losing at Virginia Tech, at home against Louisville, and at Duke. Tip back out. It will be Pittsburgh basketball. Cameron Wright of the Panthers with an early lead in the first half from Pittsburgh of the ACC.
Efficient early in the game with a 6-point lead. 4 different guys have scored. The 3 from James Robinson. Cameron Wright drives it in the lane and knocks down the short 2. The post move, a tough move inside by Michael Young. And then Jamel Artis, another short jumper in the lane. Panthers lead at 11-8.
Right now it is time for the Carolina Ford Keys to the Game with Dan Bonner.
Jamie Dixon looking over things, and for Notre Dame, they've got to do what they've done all year, apply offensive pressure. They score, that puts the pressure on the other team. And for Pitt, they need stops, and they've got to make shots. The second of those they're accomplishing here early in the game. You've got to score to keep pace with this Notre Dame offensive machine.
That is Artis for 3. Demetrius Jackson pulls it down for Notre Dame. Asturia recovers.
Really looking to get the ball into August.
Cameron Wright was defending Jackson, and he picks up the personal foul, his first.
And the interesting thing about throwing the ball inside to August, there are so many three-point shooters out on the perimeter. Notre Dame really can't afford to double team him and leave somebody open out there. So August is going to have a lot of one-on-one opportunities today.
So Michael Young leaves the game. Derek Randall has come in. He's seen action in 16 games prior to today, averaging just under 2 points though. So Randall, a senior from Brooklyn, New York, is in for Pittsburgh, trying to defend August, and does a fine job.
Did a nice job preventing August from getting to the basket, forcing him to shoot that little hook over top of defense. And I think that's one of the reasons why Newkirk is starting the game. He is really explosive off the dribble. He's a guy who can get penetration into the lane. That's going to be a hard matchup for Vastoria from Notre Dame, who's not nearly as quick laterally.
He picked up his first personal on the play. August has the rebound.
Boy, Notre Dame is just so good at getting the ball down the court in transition, but under control. And that time, Jackson, just with a hesitation dribble, takes the ball right to the goal.
Pittsburgh made its first 5 shots, has missed its last 3. That was Artis against Connaughton, lost the handle. Randall and Grant wrestle for the ball, and it will go to Notre Dame on the help ball situation.
Talk about all the things that Jaron Grant can do. That time he just stood under the basket, waited till the big guy brought the ball down and tied him up.
The Fighting Irish, 20-2 on the season, 8-1 in conference play. They have not lost a true road game all season. 4-0 away, and all of those in the conference. Vastoria driving to the rim.
In the last couple of games, that has been a problem for the Panthers defense. The people just taking the ball and driving it right to the goal. And we've seen Grant do it, we've seen Vastoria do it, we've seen Jackson do it.
Newkirk. Jones, 3-ball.
See, that's the kind of shot you're going to have to make. An open 3 by a guy who has a reputation as a 3-point shooter, even though his numbers are pretty low this year.
Deflected by Jones, cannot save it. He's up in the front row of the zoo.
Connaughton's in the corner. He's got his hands up saying, throw me the ball. And that's a tough pass for August all the way across the baseline like that. And if you're going to throw that one, you have to throw a little harder than he just did. Notre Dame fortunate to keep the ball.
Connaughton, who will inbounds, senior from Arlington, Massachusetts. He's made 61 threes this season. That is tops in the club. Grant with the shot clock at 5. In close to Colson, who can't convert.
Boy, Grant delivered that pass perfectly. Colson just couldn't finish.
Jones got too deep. There's Colson. And now all the way to the basket. Beecham got fouled.
Bonzie Colson is a guy who's been playing a bit more lately for the Pitt Panthers, and he does a really nice job getting the ball ahead to Beecham. Beecham noted for his 3-point shooting, but if he's going to get ahead of the back, he's certainly going to be happy to take the layup.
64% on the season from the line for Beecham. Closed captioning for ACC basketball, brought to you by Bojangles, famous chicken and biscuits. It's boat time.
Beecham really doesn't get to the line very much. That's only his 9th free throw attempt in ACC play.
So Pittsburgh makes a substitution with Ryan Luther, number 4, while Notre Dame is in the midst of an 8-0 run over the last 3 minutes. Three-point advantage for Notre Dame.
Pitt really needs to get back to what they were doing at the start of the game, and that is getting that ball inside the lane area. That's a tough shot.
Nice bounce for Cameron Wright, the senior.
It looked to me like he almost threw that rather than shot it.
And the zoo comes alive. Another capacity crowd here at the Petersen Events Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Tom Wormy and Dan Bonner with you, along with our outstanding ACC Network basketball production crew. Young is back in. He had that rebound for Pittsburgh. Wright, and now Young. We'll take a timeout from chilly Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. ACC basketball on the ACC Network. Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. Also streaming live on the ACC.com and on the official ACC mobile app. Today's coverage of ACC basketball being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network. We welcome the nearly 1 million men and women of the U.S. Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines stationed around the globe in 175 countries and on the high seas. We're so proud to have you with us and hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Artis misses from the corner.
That last foul was on Bonzi Colson just before we went to break. And each team shooting the ball very well so far. Going into that timeout, Notre Dame at 60%, Pitt at almost 55%.
The Irish, number 8 in the country, started the season unranked. Pat Connaughton for 3 in rhythm.
Now Connaughton, an outstanding three-point shooter. You know, you just cannot allow him to get his feet set and give him that much room.
He had a double-double in the win against Duke. 13 points and 12 rebounds.
He is such a great athlete. You know, not only can he shoot the three pound for pound, he may be as good a rebounder as there is in the ACC.
Cameron Wright, slight fall away. Artis had it taken away by Beecham, and now Connaughton.
Now Connaughton was behind Artis and tipped the ball away to start the whole thing. There Grant misses the transition three, but that's what I'm talking about with Connaughton. He's always around the basketball on a rebound, tipping it, grabbing it. There you're going to get a foul, I believe, on Jaren Grant. And that's a pretty good strategy by James Robinson. Attack Jaren Grant when Jaren Grant is on defense. He can't hurt you if he gets fouls and has to go to the bench.
Panthers have won 24 of their last 31 home games. Petersen Events Center, a big advantage for the Panthers, but that one spins off for Young. Beecham. That's a three.
I mean, you could put that on a training video about how to pass the ball. I mean, that is just a great play. And watch what happens here. The ball is going to go from right here as he passes the ball. Now watch it. 1, 2, 3, and they find a wide open three-point shooter.
The Ram Power Play brought to you by the Ram 1500. This past Tuesday, the Virginia Tech Hokies hosted the Pitt Panthers in Castle Coliseum. Now, after hitting a game-tying three-pointer at the end of regulation, Adam Smith would hit this game-winning three-pointer in overtime. Smith's 26 points, lifting the Hokies to a 70-67 victory over the visiting Panthers. And that's a Ram Power Play. Snapped a 5-game losing streak for the Hokies in the series against Pittsburgh and sent the Panthers to their 3rd straight loss and a tough one on the road for Jamie Dixon.
Well, very tough one on the road, particularly because they were up by 7 points and they lost that 7-point lead, even though they scored on 3 of their next possessions.
Pittsburgh just 1 for its last 10 shot attempts. The Irish is on a 12-2 run. Robinson straight away for 3. Whistle at the other end.
And Artis picks up the foul, and that foul is caused by the fact that Notre Dame is simply on attack. They throw the ball down the court before the Panthers can get organized.
So Beecham is back to the free throw line for the Irish, the sophomore from Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And as you mentioned, he is not a particularly good free throw shooter, which always surprises me. A guy who's a really good three-point shooter.
Beecham shoots 44% from beyond the arc. And now 1 of 2. He is 3 of 4 in the game from the free throw line and 6 points for Beecham. Young, quick first step, slapped away by Colson. Out of bounds and to the Panthers.
It's very interesting watching Notre Dame play defense. They're sort of sneaky good. They don't look like they have these overwhelmingly quick athletes, but they get in your way and they contest your shots. And They block you out and they go get the rebounds.
Shot clock to 10 for Pittsburgh. Cameron Wright past a couple of defenders, and he floats it in.
That gets the fans into a little bit. The students have been into it the entire game, but the rest of the crowd seems to be sitting on their hands, just sort of waiting for something to happen.
Colson. Young may have got a piece of that one.
Well, he did get a piece of that one. And maybe that's something that people have been waiting to happen.
8.5 minutes to go in the first half. 3-point lead for Notre Dame. Newkirk to Young for the easy two.
Really good job by Newkirk once again showing his quickness on the penetration. When the Panthers have been able to get into the lane, they've had great success.
Notre Dame by 1. It has led by as many as 7 points in the first half. Beecham. Colson, offensive glass. Right back to the rim for Colson.
And that is an area where Pitt has struggled over these last couple of games when they have lost, is they just have not rebounded the ball defensively as well as they need to. You cannot give teams like Notre Dame extra opportunity.
Michael Young.
But that's a great response. Go right after Colson inside.
Grant finds Connaughton.
Now, just because they miss a couple of those, they're not going to stop shooting them. Beecham and then Connaughton missed wide open threes. And Pitt takes the lead on Artis, another short jump shot as a result of penetration.
Colson, power dribble and the layup. It was a foul called on the play.
Before the shot. So no basket.
Okay, so we'll take a timeout for Pittsburgh. We come back with the Panthers and the Irish. Catch your breath. It's a 1-point game.
Stroke, and they lead by 1 point, and one of the reasons is that Jaron Grant has only taken 2 shots. Now, he's one of the Player of the Year candidates in the conference. Jahlil Okafor, of course, an obvious one. Terry Rozier playing as well as anybody in the conference. Justin Anderson has Virginia at the top, and Jaron Grant, the leader of probably the most surprising team in the conference, the Haviland Player of the Week. How about that for a week? That's a career for some guys.
What a great game against Duke for Jaron Grant.
Boy, and a really lazy pass by Story. He threw that right to Artis, and Artis just took it away.
This is Newkirk for 3.
And that is a great response by the Panthers. A little bit lazy by the Irish, and the Panthers make them pay for it. Oh, that's some pass. Good heavens.
Augustin.
But Jaron Grant, he laid that ball right in the perfect spot. And that pass was made with his left hand.
Grant had 12 assists in the win against Duke on Wednesday. That was a career high, and he played every minute of that game. 40 minutes on the court for Notre Dame. And that win against number 4 Duke.
Notre Dame playing in a 2-3 zone, trying to cut down on that dribble penetration.
This is Newkirk. Artis. Cameron Wright trying to find some space. Artis got August in the air.
Tom, you mentioned before Josh Newkirk with the first start of his career, and he gets the three-point basket. Now, his three-point shooting numbers are down a little bit, but he can be a capable three-point shooter. And what a pass inside by Jaron Grant. He actually threw it with his right hand. I thought he threw it with his left hand, but it doesn't make any difference which hand you throw it with. When you put the ball right in that spot, your teammate is going to score easily.
It is Janelle Artis at the free throw line, the sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland. Great free throw shooter. 85% on the season for Artis. Makes them both, and he's got 6.
Now, the Panthers have made a couple of three-point shots, but they've had their best success getting the ball inside.
Astoria scoops it to the rim.
This is a nice job by Notre Dame. They spread the court. If you're afraid to go help out because you don't want to leave your guy open for a three-point shot, and that gives Notre Dame's guys a lot of room to maneuver.
Cameron Wright had it for a moment, then fumbled out of bounds by Pittsburgh. Let's take a look at what's on the Ruby Tuesday game menu in the ACC, Dan.
It's like North Carolina State recovering from that loss that they had. Clemson, big game, big lead against Boston College, and some big games coming up later today. 4 ranked teams going at one another.
Tipped away by Artis. Wright trying to run, gets by Grant and drops the hammer. August on the block. Backing in on Randall. Recovers. Vastoria. 3-point basket, Steve Vastoria.
And that's just a backbreaker. You play really good defense. You have your opponent scrambling on offense, and one of their guys just knocks down a 3.
30th 3 of the season for the sophomore Vastoria. Cameron Wright from the wing. Dan, what a consistent scorer that young man is. Double figures for the 30th time in his career. Cameron Wright is now 5 of 6 from the floor this afternoon. August makes his move, and there's no stopping that.
Again, you're afraid to help out because you don't want to leave somebody open from 3. Very important for the Panthers to not let their men get by him. You got to play your guy one-on-one, keep him in front of you.
August has achieved double figures now with 10. Artis with the touch. Pittsburgh shooting 50% as a team in the first half. against number 8 Notre Dame.
They've only shot 40% total in ACC play, so they are really performing at the top rate right now.
Jackson tried to recover. Whistle on the play.
The Pitt Panthers really playing well, getting down the court. The dunk by Cameron Wright. But then Steve Vastoria, he prevents Notre Dame from falling too far behind. Knocks down a big three. 3-point game.
Hey. Meeting between Pittsburgh and Notre Dame. And the Zoo rocking on a Saturday afternoon on the ACC network. These teams have come to play, Dan. 58% shooting for Jamie Dixon and the Panthers so far today.
Well, look at how they've done it. It hasn't been a consistent 60%. They made their first 5, then missed 9 out of 10. And then they've made 9 of their last 11. So very streaky by the Panthers, but that has them right in the game.
Demetrius Jackson, who's at the free throw line for Notre Dame.
Jackson, a very good free throw shooter. What do we say with Pitt? That they had to make shots, and they've certainly done that in the first half.
Three points now for Jackson. He is one of 7 different scores for the Irish in the first half.
Notre Dame goes back to the man-to-man, trying to change the defensive tempo here a little bit.
Twisting Young. Outlet to Jackson.
That's a nice job by Notre Dame inside to contest Young's shot without fouling.
Notre Dame shooting 59% of the first half. And trailing by 2.
Yeah, you got to be scratching your head a little bit. You shoot 59%, you're behind in the game.
Jackson, that's a 3.
They can all shoot it from out there, and of course they're not going to make them all, but if you give them open looks like that, eventually they're going to score a lot of threes.
3 of 8 from beyond the arc in the first half for Notre Dame. Robinson with a reset inside of 2 minutes to go in the first half. Shot Clock winding down to 5. Newkirk, nifty dribble, spins off. The follow laid up and in by Young.
That drive drew everybody to the driver. Nobody left to rebound the ball, and Grant, he tries to take it to the goal, but he's denied by Jeter inside.
Coming up on the Hardy's halftime report, we'll give you a preview of our next Kings of the Court show. As Corey Alexander sits down with Charlie Scott to talk about his great career at North Carolina and the challenges he faced as the first African-American student athlete at Chapel Hill. All coming up on the Hardy's halftime report. Timeout Notre Dame, trailing by 4, 37-33. It's a great schedule in the ACC this afternoon, and coming up later on tonight, 7 o'clock, number 4 Duke at number 2 Virginia. And Tony Bennett's team is rolling 19-0, Dan Bonner.
Yeah, but look down there at the schedule, and only the Duke game today, but then at North Carolina, Louisville, and at NC State. So they may be 19-0 and playing very well, but they're like everybody else in the ACC. They've got a gauntlet that they've got to run through. But this is a team that's playing as well as anybody in the country, the Virginia Cavaliers.
Very close behind Virginia has got to be this Notre Dame team.
That is the second time on an inbounds pass that Vastoria has thrown it right into the hands of the defender. You know, maybe a little fake could help you get the ball inbound.
Successfully inbounded by Vastoria. 1:23 to go in the first half.
And Notre Dame is behind by 4 points on the road, basically without any contribution offensively from Jaren Grant. What a pass there, that one.
And what a finish by Connaughton as Vastoria found him, Dan.
Well, the interesting thing is here, Vastoria drives to the basket. Vastoria is going to get the ball and come to the basket, and Connaughton is just going to go right along the baseline. Right there. Wow. You can't turn your back on any of these guys because they're moving to the open spot.
Pat Connaughton completes the three-point play. Old school style, and now 6 points for Connaughton, who averages close to 14 per game. Final minute of the first half. Robinson put on the brakes. Held ball situation. And it should stay with Pittsburgh.
It will, but of course the shot clock will not reset, so there are only 12 seconds left to shoot.
Jamie Dixon, 12th season on the bench, 301 victories. A couple of weeks ago, got that win against Florida State here at the Petersen Events Center for his 300th as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Panthers. Shot clock at 8. Cameron Wright pulls the trigger. Connaughton had it for a moment. Now a foul is called.
That's about the only way you're going to get a ball like that from Connaughton. Jeter grabs him by the arm.
ACC fans, Haviland giving you a chance to win a VIP trip to this year's tournament and a chance to make a half-court shot for $1 million. You and a guest will get to enjoy the tournament VIP style. Then at halftime of a semifinal game, you'll have a chance to shoot for $1 million. Enter online today at theacc.com/million. Front end of the 1-and-1 for Pat Connaughton. Connaughton, a two-sport athlete, already been drafted by the Baltimore Orioles organization as a pitcher. And the lone captain on this year's Notre Dame team, now with 8 points.
It's a proud history of guys who played pretty well at the inside spot on an ACC team, playing for the Baltimore Orioles. Tim Stoddard did that back in the day. Played for the Wolfpack of NC State.
About a 4-second difference, game to shot clock. And now we're inside of 10 on the shot clock. Newkirk accelerates to the rim. Connaughton gathers. Grant looking for Colson. Right hustle back. Sent it into the backcourt. Connaughton must recognize. Half-court shot.
Well, he's practicing for that $1 million shot.
What a first half, Dan Bonner.
Well, it's a really, really entertaining first half. The Pitt Panthers, though, they got to be scratching their heads a little bit. They can't play much better offensively, and yet they're still down by a point.
38-37. Notre Dame shoots 56% of the first half. Halftime is straight ahead.
There's only one chicken sandwich this exciting.
Come on, is that all you got?
Wendy's Asiago Ranch Chicken Club.
Welcome into the Wendy's Halftime Report. I'm Kerry Joe. Coming up, we'll get you updated with everything that's going on today and join the ESPN Buzzer Beater Network in progress. Buzzer Beater features unlimited live cut-ins, highlights, and analysis from the biggest matchups throughout college hoops. But first, let's take a look at today's Wendy's Wooden Award Watch Update. And this time it's DeLon Wright, Utah's senior guard. He had 15 points against UCLA last Thursday. He's averaging 14.6 points per game, 5.9 assists per game, and he's shooting 54.5% from the field. To add to that, he's Utah's first-team All-Pac-12 player ever. All right, as promised, we will get you up to date with everything that's going on today as we join the Buzzer Beater Network in progress. Just a reminder that Buzzer Beater is available through participating TV providers and live on Watch ESPN. Enjoy.
Scored in the first half of their game up there, and only down 11. You're really fortunate. Clock winding down. Here's Hall at the buzzer. Off the mark. And the Tigers will take the momentum of the first 10 minutes of this half to the locker room with an 11-point lead. Jordan Roper sparking.
All right, taking it back now to McCamish Pavilion. Tim Brand and Eddie Fogler on the call. We're trying to get you that buzzer beater, guys.
Under 10 offense. But Tim, I would say this, if I may beg to differ slightly. There was no penetration to the basket. Why not let the clock continue to go down, 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 down until he penetrates to the basket? There'd be 5 or 6 seconds left.
Now you extend to Barber. They jump out on him. Here's the look. Back to Barber. No open shot. Now he clears and hits it at the buzzer. Oh, what a first half by Cat Barber. His third three. He has 18 points. He had moved out of the starting lineup, won his job back today, and then does this. Stop, pop, bang to end the first half.
Perfect execution by NC State. Penetrate pitch. They try to help on Lacey. Barber spots up, and he's obviously feeling it today, Tim. Only 5 of 20 from 3 coming in.
Cat Barber gives him a 40-31 lead at the half, and the band plays on.
Tim, that was a legit buzzer beater going into the half there. We'll try to find you guys another one as we turn it over now. Bruce Pearl in his return to Tennessee Auburn in Knoxville. And what do you have to say about this game? You just told me.
Well, Auburn is struggling this year on the road. They're 0-6 away from their building, and Bruce Pearl has populated his lineup with transfers. Antoine Mason, Casey Ross Miller, and then also the big guy inside that has been a force with his double-doubles, Simeon Bowers. So he's got great one-on-one talent. They're now just trying to mesh everybody together.
And as you mentioned, 0-6 in true road games this season, also trying to snap that 3-game losing streak as well. Mark Jones and Kara Lawson have this game. They got you covered.
One level, and then he goes up another to finish that dunk.
That was over the top of Trayvon Reed, all 7-2 of them.
You know, you talk to the guys about practice, and that's just unacceptable there by Trayvon Reed.
And Reed is going to come out of the ball game. Bowers gets back up. Reed, the freshman.
So now we head over to the Big 12, Texas Tech and West Virginia. This one, it was close early on, but as we see West Virginia taking that lead, just under 3 minutes to go in the half. We'll turn it over to Mitch Holtis and Brendan Manzer, guys.
Yeah, easier said than done, but when he's that far from the basket, I'm going to back off of Staten, give him a cushion, and force him to give it up or shoot a mid-range jumper, which he is totally capable of knocking down. But I would rather him do that than turn the corner on me and get the rim. You notice West Virginia had that right side cleared out for him. So they were overloaded on the left side. Staten, a little hesitation, and he's so quick when he goes by you, and then he's strong enough and sturdy with that balance that once he turns the corner, it's pretty much a done deal.
He's normally a 73% shooter, but lately at the line, he has been off his game. In fact, last week and now, an intentional foul is going to be called here. And this is going to be on Manderson, it appears.
Right there.
Oh, no, it's going to be on Ross.
That's Ross. Swung those elbows. Didn't need to.
And again, this officiating crew, Joe DeRosa, Keith Kimball, Roderick Dixon, trying to keep a handle on the emotions for both teams in this game.
Yeah, look, fortunately, Mitch, it appears that he grazed him. Thank goodness. But Williams really wasn't up in him too much right there.
This will be a flagrant one on Aaron Ross.
They'll look for intent here, Mitch. Roderick Dixon coming over and telling us flagrant one. We'll check the monitor. See if it needs to be a flagrant two. I don't think it will be. You see right there, that they get the defensive board. Does a good job of fighting off Williams. Williams really had him shoved underneath the basket.
All right, well, we're working with a clock issue there, headed into Thompson Bowling Arena now. Auburn and Tennessee, Bruce Pearl back at Tennessee where he was for 6 seasons. We know he had the Elite 8, the Sweet 16 twice, did some good things there. Tim trying to get his guys to mesh there at Auburn. But as we see, Donnie Tyndall in his first season with the Vols trying to do his thing as well.
He's seeking his 100th career win today with a whole different approach than what we've seen from the Volunteers. Remember last year, Jerron Mayman and Jarnell Stokes were 2 of the best big guys in the entire SEC. They also lost their point guard, Antonio Barton. So they're really starting over.
And let's explain what's going on right now. Auburn's Trayvon Reed charged with a technical foul. The referee's trying to figure out what's going on now subsequently now as Auburn shoots these technical free throws.
We're going to try and get a conclusive ruling for you here as Mason goes to the free throw line and makes the first of 2. Mason, a 72% free throw shooter, and knocks down a pair. Auburn down by a point, and Reed back on the bench. And now Richardson will shoot the technical. So what's the explanation?
So those free throws were for the common foul that was called, that they were about to shoot when all that happened. Only a technical foul has been called on Trayvon Reed. So nothing on Monty Moore and nothing on Josh Richardson, who initiated that contact with the push. So to me, I think it should have been double technicals. Right. If you're going to give Trayvon Reed a technical for pushing back because Richardson initiated the contact.
Especially going over to the monitor to be able to review and look at it.
Yep. There's no question Reed should have had a technical foul. No question. And we did not see that live. No. We did not see the Richardson.
The first one. Yeah.
Right. But after watching the tape, there was 2 guys that pushed each other.
Richardson on the spin. A short floater is good. And the steal. Great two-way play. Richardson and one by Punter. Boy, what a momentum swing.
Josh Richardson is the best player on this team, and he's a hard driver. He's at his best when he's being aggressive, but he's also an elite defender. Opportunistic there, nice assist to Kevin Punter, and look at Tennessee. That technical foul has completely changed this game, and now Tennessee is looking to go up by 7 here with just under 90 seconds left.
That's going to be a foul against Reese on the missed free throw. That's his second. So now Auburn will make the procession to the foul line. They're in the bonus. 1.5 to go here in the first half. Malcolm Canada at the free throw line, 73% free throw shooter on the year, leads the team in assists. Backup point guard. Last year, a third-team JUCO All-American. This is the foul shot.
One of the things that's such a challenge when you're a coach is to deal with the ebb and the flow of the emotion of the game. We've had a lot of stoppages here in the first half for clock, for technical fouls, and Tennessee, and this last one has been the better team at responding to changes in the game, and they've come out with just a ton of energy after the tees.
Off the miss, here's Shamsuddin. 1 minute to go now in the first half. First half, for the most part, that has lacked a lot of rhythm for both teams. Howard's flashing to the elbow. Cross court to Harrell. 8 on the shot clock. You got to get into a set here. 4 seconds to go. Shamsuddin with his do-it-yourself kit. Why not? Taj Shamsuddin with a nice drive. He's in double figures now with 10. Auburn keeping it close, down by 4. Josh Richardson going to run it down. Auburn in a man defense. Ball screen coming. They switch it. Canada force the turnover. Loose ball, and Tennessee unable to get a shot at the bucket to end the first half. Bruce Pearl got to be happy that his team down by just 4.
We hope you enjoyed the fast action coverage from ESPN's Buzzer Beater Network. We'll continue to provide this service Wednesday nights and all day Saturdays throughout the college basketball season. That'll do it for the Wendy's Halftime Report. I'm Kerry Chow. Enjoy the second half.
7. James Robinson has done a nice job. Been able to get to the free throw line. Pitt has only been there for 2 attempts, and Notre Dame scored inside as well as Pitt. Pitt did most of their damage on the inside early in the game. Just a very entertaining offensive.
Halftime stats when we come back. We'll crank up the second 20 minutes from Pittsburgh.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Haviland, official motor oil of the ACC, by Nissan, and by Ruby Tuesday, official corporate champion of the ACC.
The senior Jared Grant for Notre Dame, who normally this season is over 17 points per game. Dan, just 2 so far in the first half for Grant.
Well, he has done things to help his team other than just scoring the ball. Here on defense, he creates a turnover. This is a great pass on the inside. He's got a steal. He's got 2 assists. And he's only attempted 3 shots, Tom. It's hard to score unless you're going to shoot the ball. And Grant has not. And we just showed you that layup he made. That other mark there as a miss was a shot that he had blocked, and then he missed the 3. So that's all he's really looked at the basket. He's been finding his teammates, those we mentioned. Notre Dame's played 7 guys. All 7 have scored.
Notre Dame starts the second half in possession of the ball. A 1-point halftime lead, 15-1 this season for the Irish when they hold that halftime advantage. August, who had 10 points in the first half, the only Fighting Irish player to get to double figures, who uses the glass effectively.
And he was able to do that in the first half and on that first play of the second half because Pitt is reluctant to come and double team, fearful of the 3-point shooters. So Young is on his own down there. It's a tough job.
This the first of 3 straight home games for Pittsburgh. And we'll also take on Bryant and Syracuse upcoming. Some work to do this afternoon against the number 8 team in the nation, and it's Young.
And Young, that is an area where he has really improved his game. He can step out and shoot that short jump shot.
3-pointer from the Irish.
See, and that's what happens. Artis didn't go to help, but as the dribbler went by, he turned and looked, and that allowed Vastoria to step into the open spot in the corner.
Vastoria has not missed his second 3. Michael Young right back at you for the Panthers.
You know, Demetrius Young went dribbling, and Jamel Artis the last time just turned his head, and that resulted in the Vastoria 3. But that's a great job to get the ball right inside to Young.
This is Jackson. Oh, on the catch and release for 3.
If they're going to start to make contested threes, it's going to be a problem for the Panthers.
Couple of 3s right out of the gate for Notre Dame. 5 in the game for the Irish. Newkirk is open and connects.
In conference play, the Panthers shoot only 28% coming into the game from beyond the arc. And so Notre Dame that time thought, okay, we'll double team inside, make him shoot the 3, but Pitt made him pay for the strategy.
Both teams 3 for 3 to start the second half. Shot clock to 10 for Notre Dame. Vastoria bouncing around and run down by Robinson. Baseline, and it's Artis.
Great response by the Panthers. They found themselves down by 5, but immediately they score a couple of baskets. And what did they get? They got a stop, and they came down, and they made a shot.
3 players now into double figures for the Panthers. Artis almost had a steal and a clear path to the basket. Jamel Artis, sophomore for this Pittsburgh team. Mike Bray, 15th year as the head coach stand at Notre Dame.
And Mike Bray knows how well Jamel Artis has been playing for the Panthers. You don't want to give him the opportunity to get out and run on one of those steals too many times.
320 career wins for Mike Bray. Doesn't like that. Rolls out of bounds. And the Panthers have it back.
We've seen Vastoria drive the ball to the basket successfully a couple of times, but that time he dribbled it off his foot.
Third tie of the afternoon. Knotted up at 46. Pittsburgh made all 4 of its second half shot attempts.
Well, that's how they started the game. They made their first 5 shot attempts.
Jackson picks up his first for Notre Dame. Robinson to inbounds.
Pittsburgh. Robinson, very strong first half. He had 6 assists to go along with 8 points.
A couple of threes for Robinson in the first half as well. August with the rebound. Astoria reversing field.
That was a pretty tough drive right there because he had to get stopped going full speed.
Danny now has 12 points. Above his average of 8.6 for the season for the sophomore Steve Astoria. Robinson just inside the line.
Really impressed with the way the Pitt Panthers are passing the ball today. That's one of the reasons why they're getting some open shots is they've made that defense move around with some dribble penetration and then passing.
James Robinson now with 10 points. The fourth Panther to get to double figures. August trying to step under.
Well, that was a force that time. He drew a double team, didn't find the open man.
Look at Cameron Wright. Give it off. Head fakes for Artis, couldn't finish it off.
I think Jackson might have gotten a hand on that ball.
Zach August drew the double. Foul against the Panthers on the double team pressure. So we'll step aside for Pittsburgh on the ACC Network, tied at 48. Here in Pittsburgh, tied at 48.
And you just wonder, Tom, when Jaron Grant is going to take a larger scoring hand in the game. He's only attempted 3 shots. That's one of the reasons why he's only got those 2 points. Now, I'm not suggesting that he forced things. Notre Dame plays very well together. But Pitt has been doing a nice job forcing Grant to exercise other options rather than the scoring option.
Grant had a game-high 23 points in the win against Duke. Jackson cutting to the basket. August found him. Basket and foul.
That's really a good play by Jackson to recognize the overplay and go back door. And this is really nice bounce pass by August. Lots of times you might see a big guy try to throw a chest pass right there. That'll be very hard to handle. But that is a really nice move to the basket and a strong finish.
Demetrius Jackson finishes off the three-point play. And that's now 9 points for Jackson. They issued the foul to Josh Newkirk, his second. And Notre Dame goes in front.
And that's what Notre Dame does to you. You play really well, but they keep the pressure on because they continue to score. Newkirk almost came down with a walk right there.
Tried to find Robinson. Vastoria picked it off.
I think if you get that close to the basket, you need to try to score.
Grant steps behind the line.
Well, that one barely grazed the rim.
Robinson trying to go all the way. And he travels. Might have ran into the back of Young, and he is shaken up on the play underneath the basket.
Well, he would have to have a broken leg to go out of the game. This guy's a really tough customer.
10 points and 6 assists for Robinson.
And there's an oddity. Jaren Grant going out of the game.
They played all of the last 2 games and all of this one so far. Vastoria went one way, the ball went the other, out of bounds, and back to Pittsburgh.
It's a miscommunication, the type of which you don't see often from Mike Bray's ball club, as we get a look at Jaren Grant sitting on the bench. Usually the Irish are pretty good filling in the open spots after one of their teammates drives to the basket.
Mike Bray knew this would be a tough game. It had an old school feel to it. In the cold conditions of Pittsburgh, harkening back to the days of the Big East rivalry between these teams, and Artis has the range.
I think that was a big basket for Pitt. They went down and they forced a turnover, and then they come down and they're able to score to cut it to 1. You have to keep this Notre Dame team sort of in close proximity.
Connaughton, little bit of space. Rebound Young. Cameron Wright.
He's getting some kind bounces today, Dan.
Now
he deserves it.
He's doing a great job moving without the basketball. And his shot has looked a little odd at times, but it has gone in the basket.
Cameron Wright is now 6 of 8 from the floor, and Wright has 12 points. Jackson forces it up and gets it. Dean Robinson got tangled up after the basket.
Well, you don't often see the Irish take shots that difficult. And he went into traffic and was lucky to get that one to go down.
He's the 3rd Notre Dame player to get to double figures. Robinson trying to work on Jackson. And a foul on the play.
Well, he and Jackson were going at one another after Jackson scored that basket, and Jaren Grant comes in the game, and I think Jackson goes out as much to cool off as to rest.
Jackson leaves with 2 personal fouls and 11 points. In fact, 7 players overall in our game this afternoon have gotten to double figures. And now Sean Hull and Mike Eads have a quick discussion near that Pittsburgh bench area. Raymond Steins is our other official. James Robinson, 6 assists in the game for Robinson. That is the 33rd time in his career he's had a game in which he's had 5 or more assists.
Well, guys love to play with him because if you're open, he's going to get you the ball.
Grant stole it. Notre Dame by 1. Connaughton went to the deck. Artis right with him, and a traveling violation.
Well, that was a bizarre little play. Grant jumps up in the air. Watch this. He jumps up in the air. He's going to try to throw it down the court and then realizes that play's covered, so he throws it to Connaughton, who's so surprised he trips and falls down. And when you have the ball and you're standing and you fall to the floor, that's automatically a walk. Mike Bray was there trying to call timeout, but the Irish turn it over again. It's now 6 turnovers for Notre Dame.
Jones. He might have gotten Colson over the back, Dan.
Colson is just trying to push Michael Young out of the way. You can understand why somebody would want to push an offensive rebounder that caliber out of the way, but not right in front of the referee.
Timeout on the court. A 1-point game. Pittsburgh and Notre Dame.
In the game, we talked about offense. We were talking about Notre Dame, but the Pitt offense has been functioning very effectively today, and they're getting contributions from everybody. Michael Young, Josh Newkirk, now here James Robinson with the jump shot. Jamel Artis getting into the act as well. All 5 of the starters have made contributions, and there's Cameron Wright knocking it down. 3 of the 5 starters have 12 points. 1, Robinson has 10, and Newkirk has 6. That's all the Panther points. But they have done a really nice job keeping pace with this Notre Dame offensive machine.
56% shooting in the game for Pittsburgh. 4 of 8 from three-point range. Newkirk owns 2 of those.
And again, a Pitt team that comes in shooting only 40% from the field as a team in ACC play.
Stripped away from Artis, taken by Jackson, who has re-entered for Notre Dame.
And the other thing Pitt has done is protected the ball very well. That's only the 5th turnover.
Jackson spins and gets the roll.
Jackson is so strong.
Another shot with a very high degree of difficulty. 13 points, Demetrius Jackson.
He was able to spin away from the defense and rise up and make a very tough play. And that's Vastoria gets the foul trying to contain Cameron Wright.
So it is the 2nd on Vastoria. Jackson's made the last 7 points for Notre Dame, the Cathedral of Learning here on the campus of Pittsburgh. 11:27 to go. Notre Dame this season scoring over 80 points per game. It is the best in the conference. But they've had some other seasons in which they have really piled up the points. You go back to 1970, Austin Carr, the great Notre Dame Irish player, and what they've done today.
Well, today they're right on about pace for what they've done in terms of overall scoring, shooting the ball much better overall. Three-point numbers slightly down. And they have turned it over 7 times, but they're not on a pace to turn it over any more than their average. So this is about a typical Notre Dame offensive performance, and you have to be very impressed with the fact that the Pitt Panthers have been able to keep pace. That's great defense by Jaron Grant, preventing Cameron Wright from turning the corner and getting to the basket.
Robinson. Cut off by Connaughton.
Oh my.
Wright shook his defender and hit it.
He left Jaron Grant looking around saying, where did he go?
The shimmy shake from Cameron Wright. And then he saves it on the end line. Chance for the Panthers to take the lead. Capable hands of Michael Young.
And as good an athlete as Pat Connaughton is, he is undersized when battling Michael Young one-on-one inside. Great job by Michael Young to use the height advantage for the score.
Beecham. Jackson tried to get that rebound, got tangled up with Jones.
Well, Michael Young at 6'9", 235 pounds. He knows he's matched up against Pat Connaughton, and he's got a 4-inch height advantage and a substantial weight advantage, and he's able to use it very effectively.
Michael Young, sophomore from Duquesne, Pennsylvania, now 12 of his last 14 games to double figures, as Young has 14 in our game this afternoon.
And again, I keep wondering when Jaron Grant is going to go off.
Beecham.
Now Beecham, he had just taken 2 shots that were forced shots, not at all his style. And then Jaron Grant does a nice job drawing the defense and getting him a wide open 3 that he knocks down.
Beecham is now 2 for 3 from beyond 20 feet, 9 inches away. 4 ties and 7 lead changes. Notre Dame by 2. Artis trying to tie it up.
They really worked hard to get that one-on-one situation with Artis against Beecham. Obviously, the Panthers feel that Artis can beat him, and he did right there.
Notre Dame has won 5 of the last 6 games between these teams, but this is just their second meeting as members of the ACC. There is Grant twisting and scoring, whistle and foul.
Grant just decided that the lane opened up. And again, Notre Dame's offense creates so much space, so there's an awful lot of room for Grant. They eliminate the help. Artis can't get there fast enough. All he does is reach as Grant goes by. And if Grant gets his head and shoulders past him, there's no help inside. He's going to score. Misses that free throw, though.
4 points for Grant. Jones had it on his hip and then used the backboard.
That is the first points coming off the Pitt bench today. And big points they are.
And the first by Jones. Tied at 60. Grant step back. Well wide. James Robinson has his first career double-double with 10 points and 10 assists this afternoon. Artis.
Nice job by Artis, but Chris Jones created that play driving into the lane, and Mike Bray does not like what he sees going on here. He calls a timeout. Just a few moments ago, we saw Chris Jones drive into the lane and score his first bucket of the game. And just before that timeout, Jones took the ball inside again And when the defense collapses on Jones, that leaves Artis wide open. There's Jones in the lane. Artis steps to the free throw line, a nice little open area. And Artis can knock down that shot about 8 times out of 10.
The Panthers have made their last 5 shot attempts and 8 of their last 9. Don't feed those animals, Dan Bonner. They're closing in on us. The Oakland Zoo right behind us.
The Panthers want to feed those animals.
I'm talking about you.
But this is what you have to do if you're playing Notre Dame. They're going to apply offensive pressure because their offense functions very smoothly. You've got to match them, and so far Pitt has done exactly that.
They call them the Oakland Zoo because we're in the Oakland neighborhood of the city of Pittsburgh, and they are out in full force to watch the Panthers against the number 8 team in the country, working on a 5-game winning streak. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 20-2, the best 22-game start since 1974, and that is Jackson explosive, Dan. Irish and the Panthers giving us a great game, and we'll be back after a word from our local ACC station.
Games coming into this one, Jamel Artis was averaging almost 18 points a game. He's got 16 today, so he's bettering that pace right now. And he is a very difficult matchup. Not only can he shoot the jumper, including out to 3, but he can put it on the deck and get to the goal. And he's a guy who's ready to shoot when the ball comes his way. A very aggressive offensive performance, a very efficient offensive performance. But that's what the Panthers have become accustomed to seeing from Jamel Artis. And Mike Bray, Tom, I think he's decided it's gotten really serious here. He took his jacket off.
And Demetrius Jackson is at the free throw line for Notre Dame, trying to complete a 3-point play. 15 points for Demetrius Jackson. Jamel Artis with his 16 leads all scorers. 4 of the 5 starters for Pittsburgh in double figures. James Robinson already has a double-double today. Young driving. Jones got it. And fouled.
And there's Chris Jones again. We've been calling his name a couple of times. He did not start the game today. He came off the bench, did not score in the first half. But here on the last few possessions, Jones has been in the middle of everything. Jamie Dixon talking to Sean Hall right there.
Closed captioning for ACC basketball is brought to you by Bojangles, famous chicken and biscuits. It's Bo time. Chris Jones now has 3 points coming off of that bench for Pittsburgh. Grant, crossover. Tried to give it to August and fumbled it.
I think August thought that Grant was going to shoot the ball, and he was headed for the rebound, and suddenly the ball appears on a bounce pass that was, frankly, a little bit low.
Artis on the block. August comes down with it.
Good help by August to contest that shot at the last second.
Grant trying to get by 2 defenders. There was a whistle on that drive by Grant and a foul against Artis, and it'll be his 3rd.
Now, he has not been shooting the ball well today, but he really takes the ball aggressively to the basket. And I think that Irish are going to need that aggressiveness here down the stretch.
Jaron Grant, who is a 79% free throw shooter, has missed his 2 previous attempts. 4 points on the day, well below the season average.
He just looks a little bit out of sorts.
But that 1 free throw, Dan, has tied this game at 63. Tied up for the 8th time this afternoon, inside of 6.5 minutes to go from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Tom Wormy and Dan Votto with you on the ACC Network.
Let's see if the Panthers go back to trying to exploit that matchup, Vastoria against Artis.
Shot clock is at 8. Robinson got the shot away. August, reinforcements, spins off. Connaughton out of nowhere to grab the board for the Irish. He was being triple teamed, and so Mike Gray opted to take a timeout. But now Notre Dame, just 1 timeout to go. 5:49 to go in the second half. Coming up on Tuesday, the Louisville Cardinals at the Miami Hurricanes, 8 o'clock Eastern. Or some of you may see the NC State Wolfpack, a team that Notre Dame made an incredible comeback against to get a win against Wake Forest. And that's the lineup on Tuesday. Some will see Louisville, Miami, top 25 matchup. Others will see NC State against Wake Forest.
And Jamie Dixon knows all about Louisville. His team played pretty well and still lost by 12. Gave up 80 points to the Cardinals. That'll be an interesting game that the Cardinals play today against North Carolina. Louisville playing very well, particularly on the offensive end right at the moment.
Big Saturday in the ACC. What a great game to get it started. Notre Dame and Pittsburgh meeting for the 60th time. Last year, Pittsburgh went to South Bend and won it in overtime, 85-81. Panthers so tough against top 10 teams in this building, 13-3. Shot clock inside of 10. Young had it, run down by Jones.
That was not a good possession by Notre Dame. You don't want Vastoria trying to drive the ball at the end of the shot clock.
Jones trying to shake Connaughton. Count it.
We've talked about how active Jones has become here in the second half. He just takes the ball inside. What a nice pump fake. And then he pivots around the jumping Connaughton, who moves into him and picks up the foul.
Can't finish off the three-point play for Connaughton, his first foul of the game. But Pittsburgh has a 2-point lead as we are about to cross the 5-minute mark, Dan.
And while we're talking about Connaughton, he has been very quiet in the second half. He's only attempted one shot, hadn't scored.
8 points in the game for Pat Connaughton. Jackson trying to get by Cameron Wright. He'll have none of it. Wright in transition to Artis. What a sequence for Cameron Wright at both ends of the floor. Hell ball situation. Pittsburgh basketball.
Trying to take it to the basket where they've had success. The Irish find themselves blocked that time by Cameron Wright, who ends up taking the ball down the court, making a great pass to Jamel Artis, who just always seems to know where the openings are.
Jamel Artis, the 6'7" sophomore from Baltimore, Maryland, now with 18 points. Just shy of his career high, which is 21. What a game for Artis. 8 of 14 from the floor. He also has 6 rebounds.
Irish are in the man-to-man.
Inside of 4 minutes to go in the game. Shot clock inside of 10. Young had it knocked away by Vasturia, but he will pick up the foul. What a game in Pittsburgh. Under 4 minutes to go, and the Zoo is rocking in the Steel City.
Thank you for being
Exclusive production of Raycom Sports, also streaming live on the ACC.com and on the official ACC mobile app. This is our Valero game summary, and look at all those assists that the Panthers have piled up, Dan.
They've only scored 30 field goals, so they've assisted on 24 of the 30 field goals. They're shooting exactly 70% in the second half. And in addition to that, they have held Notre Dame without a field goal for the last 4 minutes. So what was our key to the game? They had to get stops, and they have gotten them here over the last 4 minutes, and then they've made the shots as well. And that's why they have this 7-point lead, or 4-point lead, excuse me. The last couple of Notre Dame possessions, they have just seemed to try to force it a little bit, and that is very uncharacteristic of the Irish. And I think you've got to give the Panthers defense credit for that.
A 6-0 run for Pittsburgh, and its largest lead of the game, 69-63, 3:42 to go. Stepping back is Grant.
And it's just not there for Grant today. He's now 2 for 7.
Just 5 points for Jaron Grant.
That's another tough shot. You know, we've seen him make shots like that, but that was a tough one.
Fourth leading scorer in the ACC has been limited to 5. Jamie Dixon calls a timeout.
Boy, Mike Bray is really, really upset. He's saying, hey, wait a minute. I tried to call a timeout in a situation just like that. You didn't give it to me.
The Panthers have been here before, and in fact, it was just last Wednesday at Virginia Tech. They were up by 7 at one point, but then Adam Smith took over for Virginia Tech. He hit a three-pointer at the end of regulation. Then with just 3 seconds to go in overtime, another three. Virginia Tech made 12 in the game for Buzz Williams. First ACC win in OT, 70-67 against Pittsburgh.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the Panthers do today. You know, you mentioned Virginia Tech made those 12 three-point baskets. Notre Dame, an excellent three-point shooting team, has only made 6.
Notre Dame usually averages, Dan, about 9 made threes per game, and that is tops in the ACC.
And if they get to that number, then obviously this game becomes a very different story. The free throw situation, each team has 16 fouls, so each team will be in the bonus on the next foul.
Robinson. Shot clock at 6, and he's fouled. Him and Jackson have been in each other's grill throughout the afternoon.
The interesting thing here, Tom, is that the Panthers have really not made very many trips to the free throw line today. But in the last few possessions, they've been able to get the ball in there and draw fouls. They only attempted 2 free throws in the first half, and this is only their 4th free throw attempt of this half.
First trip to the line for Robinson. And then with Robinson at the free throw line, you're looking at one of the greatest free throw shooters in the history of Pittsburgh basketball. 82% for his career, 5th in school history.
See, now now Pitt is getting into a danger zone. That's an 8-point lead. If they get ahead by 10, then they're really in trouble because Notre Dame comes back from 10-point lead.
That's right. They trailed by 18 at NC State, trailed by 10 against Duke, and won both of those games. And now Grant has a chance at a three-point play. The foul is on Jones.
The situation here is a little bit more desperate than in either one of those games.
Yes, it is.
Because there's only 2 minutes and 57 seconds left. And if you're the Panthers, you don't want to force anything, Tom, but I think in this particular situation, you want to keep playing the way you've been playing the entire game. I think it would be a mistake to try to take the air out of the ball and run time off the clock. Just run your offense as effectively as you've been running it the entire game. You don't have to slow the thing down.
Grant now with 7 points with the 2 free throws. Exactly, Dan.
They've been taking good shots the entire game. I don't see any reason why they can't continue to do that.
59% shooting in the game for Pittsburgh. Incredible. Shot clock to 8. This is Robinson. Beecham pulls it down for Notre Dame.
That's a really nice job by Jones. Grant was looking to go right past him.
Grant trying to work on Artis, and he does it. And now 9 points for Jaron Grant. 2 minutes to go. Grant has scored the last 5 for Notre Dame. For Pittsburgh, its last win against a top 10 team, February of 2013, took down number 6 Syracuse. Before they both became members of the ACC. Young tries to regather, got tied up, and that ball's going back to Notre Dame on the help ball situation.
Jamie Dixon thinks there was a foul there, but again, the Panthers have gotten a little bit passive on the offensive end. The last shot that they missed was with under 10 seconds left on the shot clock, and that turnover occurred with 9 seconds left on the shot clock.
The Panther lead was 8. It has now been cut in half. They led 71-63. Now the Irish have the ball and a chance to cut further into the advantage for Pittsburgh.
And you'd have to think the ball's going right into the hands of Grant.
That's a three-pointer. Grant hits it.
He's unbelievable.
10 points in the second half now for Jaron Grant and a 7-0 run for the Irish. Timeout, Jamie Dixon of the Panthers. Grant has flipped a switch, able to get to the free throw line and then knocking down his first 3 of the game.
Well, we talked about the fact that Grant is one of those guys who has the ability to make really tough shots, and here's one of them. Artis in great defensive position, but that one goes down, and then reacting off of a switch, he's got Michael Young on him, and he rises up and shoots the 3, even though he has had no success shooting the 3 today, now 1 for 4.
He's got the last 8 points. He's gone over the 1,500-point threshold for his career at Notre Dame. Well documented last year, had to leave the team for academic issues, but has made the most of his second chance in an Irish uniform and has brought them back to within 1 point of the Panthers. Grant has scored 8 points in the last 5.5 minutes. In the previous 33.5 minutes, had just 4, and in the nick of time for Mike Bray. 1:05 to go.
Well, the Irish this year have been in one close game after the other.
It has been a remarkable season for Notre Dame. Double overtime against Georgia Tech, a 1-point win against North Carolina. That's going to be a foul on Grant. Got tangled up with Robinson.
Yeah, he went after the steal. He was trying to get out of the way, but he just could not regain his balance. And that's going to put a great free throw shooter at the line, shooting a 1-and-1. Pretty good numbers for James Robinson.
Came up short. And the final minute. Pittsburgh by 1. Notre Dame with the ball.
Trying to spread the court here.
Shot clock is at 8. Grant needs to recognize. Foul on his way to the basket.
That's a really tough matchup for Michael Young, and Notre Dame did a great job trying to exploit that matchup by spreading the court. Boy, Jamie Dixon's got to wonder what you have to do. His team played really, really well, has played really well.
Shot clock is off with 31.2 seconds to go. Grant, 3 of 5 from the line.
Jamie Dixon wants a timeout.
So
now the interesting thing here, Tom, is the strategy that Jamie Dixon is going to adopt depending upon a make or miss. If it's a miss, obviously the first thing you have to do is get the rebound and then with the score tied, you try to take the ball down the court and you hold it for the last shot. So that you either win the game or you go to overtime. If Notre Dame makes the shot and goes up by 1, then Pitt has to get a good shot as quickly as they can get it. If you make it, obviously, then you put the pressure on Notre Dame. If you miss, you have a chance to foul. But everything here hinges on Jaron Grant at the free throw line. I think if you're Mike Gray, you like that situation.
Grant, incredibly, had just 2 points in the first half. Now up to 13 in the game. 86th time in his career, double figures. But this was a desperate situation for Notre Dame, trying to get back into this game. And they have done so on the back of that man, number 22, Jaron Grant.
Shot clock is off.
Notre Dame with a 1-point lead. Pittsburgh's been empty in its last 3 possessions. And now 20 seconds to go without a shot clock. Robinson spinning on Connaughton. Got the roll. 10 seconds to go. Grant races up. Out of the corner. 3 comes off. Artis had it for a minute. Whistle and a foul.
Just what we talked about with the Pitt Panthers, you take the first good shot you can get. Robinson recognizes the mismatch. This guy is a maker of big shots, and he certainly does it right there. Now here Grant takes the ball into the lane, and here they're trying to repeat that Duke play, but this time the shot is missed. Now Artis is at the free throw line. He's got 2. 3.9 seconds left, so Notre Dame will still have time regardless of what he does here.
19 points for Artis, 3 of 3 from the line.
I take that back. That was a 1-and-1. It doesn't make any difference now.
$20 points for Jamel Artis, and that leads all scorers. 75-72 Pittsburgh.
Jamie Dixon just told the officials that they're going to foul.
Connaughton. Stolen by Robinson. That'll end it. Pittsburgh has upset Notre Dame.
Well, it's not over yet. They called a foul. Notre Dame was trying to get the ball from Robinson, and they fouled him.
Still 0.8 seconds on the clock then. And now Mike Gray is taking a timeout, too.
Well, I think the officials are going to look to see whether or not 0.8 is the right amount of time. Let's get a look here. Robinson steps in front and steals the ball. And he's just trying to throw it up to end the game, but Connaughton gets over there and fouls him. And what the officials want to do now is check and see how much time is really left. Is it 0.8 or is it something else?
Mayhem at the end of this one. The steal by Robinson. Now there's Connaughton, Dan.
Look right there. That's hard to tell. Maybe 1 second.
So Robinson steps in front for the steal. And then Connaughton runs up for the foul.
Foul is on number 24. That Connaughton is
Now Pittsburgh has a 3-point lead. Just 1.6 to go. And again, this was the driving layup by Robinson with Connaughton right on him. 14 points in the game for Robinson.
That's James Robinson's reputation. He makes big shots, and now They actually put 0.8 seconds, an additional 0.8 seconds on, so it's 1.6, but nothing matters if he makes this one. And he's there for 2 shots. Ball game. What a huge win for the Pitt Panthers. We said before the game they came in scuffling a little bit, losers of 3 in a row. This is just a really big win for this Pitt team.
That'll do it. The Panthers and Jamie Dixon take down the number 8 team in the country, 76-72 in front of the Oakland Zoo. Cameron Wright, the senior, with 14 points. 4 starters for Pittsburgh into double figures. The Panthers win at 76-72. We're coming right back.
Try Ruby.
Ball is being brought to you by Food Lion, official supermarket of the ACC. By your Carolina Ford dealers. By Ruby Tuesday, official corporate champion of the ACC. And by Hyundai.
For highlights of must-see moments from this game and others, check out theACC.com. Our next telecast Tuesday, 8 Eastern. Some will see Louisville, Miami. Others get NC State and Wake. You've been watching coverage of Atlantic Coast Conference basketball on the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports.
At Bojangles, you won't